Hey everyone, welcome back to My Rising Rose with me, Jack Morrigan. I've been going through some interesting shifts recently and I want to share some of that with you. A few days ago, something happened and I want to try and put it into words to help some of you understand what it's like and just to share really. So I'm somebody who's spent a lot of my life being really afraid of what other people think of me. And I'm sure some of you will relate to that. And it's been a real limitation. And obviously, doing the work that I do, it's forced me to face a lot of this. And the fear of how other people see me. Because I'm well aware that what I do is strange. Like channeling dragons is strange. And there's parts of me that would much rather be a doctor, which is what I was training to do when I was 18. To have a kind of normal career, because that would feel safer. And I'd be able to talk freely to people about that with no worry that they would think that I was insane. So it's been something that's been with me a long time, probably since childhood, this fear of how people see me, because I was raised in a family that was pretty dangerous, let's just say. So trying to understand how other people think and feel in order to keep myself safe was like something that my child brain would have done a lot. So then moving through life with that as a foundation, I'm constantly fearing that there's going to be a repetition of what happened in my childhood. Obviously, most of this is unconscious. And just constantly on high alert for that and getting very stressed about it. But something happened when I put out the video, the reaction to Byron Katie video. And it's interesting to see how people have reacted to that. I was really uplifted by a lot of the comments, and some of them were really, just like shocking, to be honest, like really off base. And it's amazing, like what people will consider to be unkind. And it got me reflecting on, like, what, like, as a couple of people thought that I was being unkind and didn't want to watch this reaction video, and I was like, I have no idea what this person's talking about. I don't know I don't know how they've seen unkindness in this. But I think it says a lot about some spiritual people who see any form of opinion or like evaluation of somebody as unkind and nasty and negative. And it's like, that's amazing to me, because how are we supposed to evolve as people without that kind of feedback? Like, I didn't see anything unkind in that. I saw it as loving, and I felt like I was being very reasonable throughout the whole thing. So that was strange, but what came from it for me was like this, like, because I was a bit like taken aback and a bit hurt by those comments, because I was like, that doesn't feel like a fair judgment of me as a person, and that triggers me, like, to not be seen like that, and to have kind of, it felt like projections thrown on me. But what happened, like, the following day was I just woke up with this sense of peace inside of myself, as if I don't know exactly how it's happened, but through posting that video and reading those comments, something inside of me just like fell off. and my fear of how other people see me has like considerably decreased. That's not to say that it's completely gone away. It hasn't completely gone away. You know, I'm aware that I'm being pretty vulnerable right now, and that some of you will see me negatively because of this, and some of you will choose to write that in the comments. But what has changed, I think, is it's like that doesn't feel so personal, you know? And it's like this knot inside of my system is just like fallen away. And it feels good. It feels like it gives me freedom. And in that video, I was being the most myself that I've been while I've been expressing myself through these videos. And I was reflecting on that because I showed it to my partner, and she was like, yeah, this is the most you that I've seen you in your videos, which is obviously a good judgment, right? Because she sees me all the time. And I got thinking about that, and I was like, oh, I feel like I've been being authentic in my videos, but there's a deeper layer. I can go deeper. I can be more authentic than I've been being. And I think to some extent I'm influenced by what I believe people want, and then I'm presenting that to some degree, obviously, like, but a lot less than a lot of people out there, just to put that out there. Like, I'm not like saying that I'm being totally inauthentic in all of my videos. Like, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that there's like another deeper layer that I can go into, and that's happening, obviously, because that's what I'm doing right now. And yeah, it just got me reflecting on the way that we imprison each other, like through these little comments. Like, you got to watch out, spiritual people, because you know, there's a lot of unintegrated shadows in the spiritual community, and a lot of people who are terrified of those shadows, and like are trying to be like this kind of perfect, nice person, but it's just not real. And then those same people will influence and manipulate people in the spiritual scene with like these little digging comments, like, you know, like these people telling me that I'm not kind, right? Like, that's a form of control. You know, it's designed for a purpose, right? It's like there's a desire to silence within that. So there's oftentimes like this sort of victim-y, nice kind of energy can actually be tyrannical. I'm saying this now and I'm like, oh, do I want to do this actual video? Because now I'll probably have to deal with backlash in the comments. But, you know, honestly, I don't care. I don't care. And that's it's a good place. It's a good place to be. I remember seeing this video with Adyashanti a little while back, a few years ago, and he was talking about this concept called the numinous individual, like someone who is like aware of their true nature, but they're still an individual. Like, they're aware of the oneness of all things, but they're still an individual. Like, they're kind of, I interpret that as like this kind of soul infused human being. And he was talking about that, and it was like talking about people who aren't constantly looking around them in order to figure out whether what they're saying is okay. You know, they're not like constantly checking for approval from other people. They're just being themselves. That's my interpretation of what he's saying. It's like paraphrased. But that's essentially what I'm talking about here. It's like, and that's what feels like is coming alive in me. And that's not to say that it hasn't been coming alive throughout the past, you know, however many years. But somehow putting that video up the other day just made a big chunk of that fear just fall off. Which isn't to say that it's all gone. I'm not trying to make that claim. I feel some anxiety right now in being this open. But it's much less. As you can probably hear from the way that I'm talking, it's like it's still kind of settling. I'm still kind of figuring it out. You know, I'm kind of moving backwards and forwards. I'm kind of sussing it out, you know? But anyway, I'm going to channel one of the dragons today. And they're going to talk about this, I assume. It'd be a bit strange if they like kind of go on a totally different tangent, but maybe they will. I don't know. But I'm going to channel one of them now. I think it's important that I always do these updates so you know what's coming with my Rising Rose. We've got the Dragon Library launching next month. If you want to find out more about it, keep watching these videos or sign up to the newsletter in the description. We've got the retreat in October. Me and Anna and Lola, we're just finalizing everything right now. We've got a beautiful home that we've rented where we're going to be hosting everybody. We're basically hired these amazing caterers who take everything from local farms around Glastonbury. So we will literally be eating the land of Glastonbury while we're there, which is so which is so fitting to our retreat because it's called Keepers of the Heart. It's about how to really engage with sacred spaces, like how to unify ourselves with sacred spaces and not become part of this movement of spiritual tourism where we're just trying to take as much as we can from sacred sites, but actually learn how to be in right relationship with these places, to give and to receive, and to through that actually I think have the potential to unify our own self with that sacred site, which is a dissolution of the ego, through, you could say, a kind of almost like a location-based tantra. Anyway, we're doing that October 7th to the 11th. It's going to be amazing. There's going to be lots of information coming out about it soon. I'm going to be writing some up today. Maybe get it finished today. Who knows? But certainly by the end of the week, there will be information available and you can find out about the costs and all the details and everything. And then we've got Descend to Eden at the end of October. So that's the initiation with the goddesses of the enlightened dark, which, you know, the way that I'm speaking right now and the shifts that I'm going through are almost definitely connected to that, because this kind of sort of sacred empowered individualism is kind of one of the aspects that they embody. So just being true to yourself, knowing who you are, and being that regardless of the outside pressure, like that's a big part of what they do. But essentially this is going to be an online, live, channeled, deep shadow work, not session, but course over many weeks, where you'll get to interact directly with me and directly with the goddesses of the enlightened dark. You can tell it's Mercury retrograde, right? Keep slipping over my words. So that's what's coming up, and I'll channel through one of the dragons for you guys now. Ianaraun. Gianaran. Ianaraun. Ianaionor. Ianaraun. Gianalayun. Ianayun. So just give me a moment to tune myself in. I am Gor Kor Eth. Gor Kor Eth. Black Dragon of the Rising Rose. Part of the underworld of the cosmos. Jack thought that he was going to channel Tai Xuan, who is a dragon dedicated to shining unashamedly as your own personal self. Seems to fit with the theme that he's been speaking about. But also in keeping with the themes that he's been talking about is myself. Because when you are master of the underworld within you, when you are unafraid of your fears, when you are unflinching in the reality of your shadows, you are free to be exactly who you are. When you are afraid of the fear, anger, sadness within yourself, the unacknowledged knots of past experience lodged in your psyche, when you are afraid of these things and you run from them, you are not truly yourself, because you are running from yourself. Most people who are experiencing this will constantly, subconsciously, be attempting to subdue, suppress, escape from themselves. And then they project it out onto others because they do not want the other to mirror the energy that they are afraid of within themselves. And this is very present in the spiritual community, where people will attempt to silence one another. It's very common in the love and light scene, where people are more commonly terrified of their shadows, and such people will then attempt to silence those who are less afraid of their shadows and the shadows of humanity. Often this will be done under the guise of kindness, when in reality, how is it kind to silence truth and maintain the tyranny of fear rooted within you? Of course, it is not kind, it is not loving to do so. It is rooted in fear. Love, when used as an escape from fear, is not love. Such love is love without wisdom, love without truth. Love without truth is not love. Likewise, wisdom without love is not wise. As the Buddhists say, you need both of these wings, the wing of love and the wing of wisdom, to fly to enlightenment. So if you consider yourself to be a loving person, and you desire to be a loving person, be aware of your motivations. What motivates you? And don't convince yourself that you are so certain of your motivations. Be open. Ask yourself, what are my motivations? What is motivating my action? Am I truly motivated by love? Or am I motivated by fear? Am I motivated by the desire to control? My words here will frighten some of you, because it will shine a light on what you wish did not exist within you. Some of you will be motivated to write in the comments, maybe to vilify me or Jack, or maybe to proclaim your goodness. Before you do this, check in with yourself and ask, what within me is truly motivating my action right now? What within me is truly motivating my action right now? And just sit in that place. And it might not feel comfortable, because what might happen is that the the fear of the past may start to come up. It may reveal itself to you. And if it does so, take a moment just to allow yourself to rest. Just be with this part of yourself. Be with it as if you are the loving mother and wise father that this part of you never had. Be with this part of yourself as if you are the loving mother and wise father that this part of you never had. And maybe, just maybe, something will start to soften. Maybe a long-held pain or discomfort will start to release. And then maybe, instead of being ruled by your fear, you will be set free. Maybe this won't happen instantly, but maybe it will be a step toward that. Jack's teacher, Fran, used to say, there's waking up, and then there's growing up. Waking up can sometimes be flashy, with moments of revelation, with blissful dissociation from the truth of the body's reality and the truth of your own human experience. Growing up tends to be a little grittier, a little more real. It's where the awakening becomes embodied, where your psyche goes through the necessary shifts to truly become the revelations that you've discovered, so that it's not some abstract thing out there, but rather the true reality that you live. Not that you pretend to live, but that you actually live. And the road to that is often bumpy. and can be very challenging. But don't let its challenge prevent you from engaging in the necessity of this sacred integration. Let yourself move there so that you can become the version of yourself that I think deep within you, you know lives in your heart. I hope that it's clear that my purpose here today is rooted in love and wisdom, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. Sometimes the kindest thing is taking someone where they need to go, not where they want to go. So thank you all so much. I appreciate your time and your energy, and if you've watched this to the end, then I appreciate your courage. Thank you, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.